I don't have anything to say other than we had I guess it's practice number 16. Is that right? Anybody know? I should know. But they tend to run together sometimes. Practice number 16. So we're definitely over the halfway mark, and had a good day. It was nice not to have to travel today to practice. Nice and warm, but I thought the guys thought we got better today. We talked about trying to determine what kind of habits we were going to create today. Football is a game of repetition, and you're creating habits. So are they good habits or poor habits? You know, that's kind of what it comes down to. And I think for the most part we got better. So it was a good day. Who's got questions?
We've had some pretty good tight end groups around here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting some pretty positive feedback about this group, particularly
Mm-hmm.
the young guys who come in. Been pretty impressive. Are you prepared yet to
I think
claim them a good group?
potentially they could be very good. You know, you have Blazevich and Rome that have already played and done a nice job, and the rest of them hadn't really played much, but they're practicing well. I see great improvement in Jordan Davis, and Jackson is you know, getting a lot of good quality reps, doing well. Chappell, our walk-on tight end, has actually practiced well also. So potentially they could be pretty good. We're just trying to get better every day.
What's the goal of the second scrimmage coming up Saturday, and something you want to see happen that maybe you did not see the first one?
Well, one thing we'll do is we'll do some a little bit of live kicking. Besides extra point, field goal, we'll kick off return, punt return, and block. We'll do all those phases, and the teams that cover, we may try to, you know, tackle somebody to the ground, see if we could do that. Got to try to really ramp up the scout teams, because if the scout teams don't go full speed, and the first time we see a full speed rep is at Louisiana Monroe, it's usually a shock to your system, and you're not able to make your blocks, let's say on kickoff return, things of that nature. So we'll try to get as much realism as we can in the kicking game. We were going to do the kick in the first scrimmage and do pure scrimmage this one, but we flipped it. We did pure scrimmage the first one, and then this one we'll get some kicking involved. But we'll still get a lot of reps, scrimmage reps, and we're not to the point where we have not started our preparation yet for Louisiana Monroe. So we're still kind of scheming each other and scrimmaging each other. But after that scrimmage, it'll be time to start turning towards, you know, our first game.
I know quarterback is probably a different animal, but as far as finalizing depth chart for depth chart purposes.
Well, we're going to experiment a little bit too. For example, we'll have Isaiah Wynn play a little left tackle just to see what he can do out there in case something were to happen to Theus or one of our tackles. We'll probably mix and match the center position a little bit, because, I mean, I think we're pretty much set on our top five right this second, but you know, one guy gets hurt and then you got to decide how you're going to handle it. So we're looking at some plan B situations here and there, not the whole scrimmage, but there's certain guys that's between the special teams and the scrimmage downs can kind of bump themselves into the group of 70, and the group of 70 is who can travel for an SEC game. Of course, we have 4 of the first 5 games at home, so that helps us. I think we're allowed 80, so it's a whole different animal when you have 80. But when you have 70, like game 2 at Vanderbilt, we only have 70. So we've got to prepare. Twice we've already looked at the depth chart to say, hey, if it was today, who are the 70? And so you had some that you kind of knew were going, and then you had some kind of turn sideways as a bubble guy. So if you're going to take 12 DBs, for example, there might have been 8 up and 8 down. And of the 8 down, 4 were going to move their way up in there. You know what I'm saying? So we're still trying to decide on some guys that are bubble guys, on, you know, who would make the 70 travel squad. So that's kind of what we're doing.
Mark, you made a reference to it was nice not having to travel. How has the weather impacted your preparations? It seems like it's been several days where you've got to kind of
How's it affected it? Well, 2 practices ago, about halfway through, we went inside and did the best we could in our green area, which is mostly offensive, defensive line work. We did have everybody else out there and trying to simulate everything, but you can't really run routes and get the right spacing and all that kind of thing in there. But we did get some good work in there, better than just going and watching film or even walking through in the gym or something. We got a little tempo in there. We could still wear our cleats. We could still get a pretty good burst off the line of scrimmage, pick up blitzes and things of that nature. So it was somewhat productive. And then, of course, yesterday, I think we made the wise decision to go to Flowery Branch. And we do thank the Atlanta Falcons for allowing us to use their facility. Got a chance to spend just a minute with Coach Quinn and some of his other assistants, and he just was really gracious to allow us to be there. And it was worth the trip. I don't want to continue to make the trip if we can help it, but so really about a half of practice. Yesterday we got the practice in. We just had to travel a couple hours to get it done.
Do you have timetables on guys that came up since we last saw you? Scott Wesley, Quavon.
Yeah, I just talked to Quavon. I'd say Isaiah McKenzie's the closest one to coming back off the hammy, then probably Quavon, and I think Ben Souther's got one. There may be another guy with a hammy. I don't know.
Hasn't McKenzie been out there?
He's been out there, but he's been limited. He's been working, but he hasn't gone full speed every rep the whole practice. So we're still kind of, trying to get him where he doesn't have a setback.
Scott Wesley.
Justin's going to be a while, I think.
On the quarterback situation, Shotty was here the other day and said you're still getting three,
Right.
3 of them getting 1 reps. At what point do you want to cut that from 3 to 2, getting 1 reps, maybe going into that last week or 2 weeks before the first game? Is there a mark there?
There's a difference between when I would like to do it and when it's time to do it, and you'd like to start camp knowing what the deal is, but we don't. And until we really get a piece about if it's down to a 2-man race, then we won't make the move. So I just don't know when it's going to be. It could be after the scrimmage, possibly, but I think back in the spring I targeted that time after that second scrimmage. You'd like to know by then to start game planning and getting the guys the reps who need to get them. But I'm not sure that'll happen. And there's a decent chance that it will.
Mark, speaking of the quarterbacks, about a week ago you mentioned that for game 1 there was that chance that a couple guys could be taking reps.
Yeah, if we're not sure.
I'm sorry.
If we're not sure, then we may do that.
Most of us familiar with Shockley Green from 02 to 04, going way back to your Florida State days. Are there any other examples where you utilize somewhat of a routine?
Part of the reason why we were playing Green and Shockley was that's what I'd done most of my coaching career at Florida State. We almost always had our second team guy get a series in the first half. Almost always. We wouldn't promise them that, but we'd say, if the timing's right, we'd like to get you in there, because you just never know when your number 1 guy is going to get hurt, and there's nothing like going in the game when it's still for real. Back in the days at Florida State, you might get the guy in the game late 3rd, early 4th if you had a big enough lead, but it's just a different feel when that's happening. But if you get him in there in the 3rd drive of the game, 4th drive of the game, no matter what game you're in, everything's at stake, and it's good for those guys to experience that. But on the other hand, does it ruin the rhythm of your starter? Does it ruin the rhythm of the game? I've found in this league it's a different world pretty quick. One series could be the difference between winning and losing a game, and one game could be the difference in winning and losing the Eastern Division title. So I just haven't done that as much as I did when I first got here.
We haven't seen Kennard Daniels Johnson out there for a while. Does he have something serious going on injury-wise?
Yeah, I don't know if we'll see him play this year.
With Reggie Carter and Tim Kimber not being out there, are you worried about your inside linebacker position?
Well, actually, those two guys have had a lot of reps. Not necessarily game reps, but they have had some game reps, and they have had a lot of reps in the system. I hate that they're missing time, but I think they could afford a little bit of that because they have a pretty good feel of what we're doing and why. So on the positive side, if you want to look at it, then now you're getting younger linebackers a lot more work, and that will help create depth at that position. So I think for the time being, and knowing that these guys will be back, it's not an awful thing to happen right this minute. And the key is to get those guys back healthy. Can we go one more? Because I got some young men that are waiting on me. Yes.
With Seymour gone and Dean Dukes gone, what have you decided to do with those two scholarships that are available? Maybe get into a walk-on?
I'm not going to make anything public in that way because if and when I do it, it might make that young man happy, but there's a bunch of other guys that kind of wish they'd have got it too. So I used to celebrate that publicly or in a big team meeting room and have a big old internet thing that everybody says, wow, that's a lot of fun. But as much as somebody celebrates, there's somebody else who's gets his heart broken because he's thinking maybe I could have been the one. So it's hard to make those decisions sometimes. And
Just give those to seniors?
not always, but yeah, a lot. If over the years, if a senior has gotten himself in position to graduate and all, we've done that. That's been part of the criteria. And sometimes it's just like Trey Battle. Year one, the guy won the job, and we gave him a scholarship. Okay, gang.